What is going on, everyone? This is Zach here, back with another episode. And here on today's episode, we are going to be talking about the NBA playoffs again. We're going to do a little fun draft to start things out. And then we're going to talk about some role players on these four teams still remaining. And then close up the show by talking about how great the NBA draft lottery went. Now, let me introduce you to the rest of the crew.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Eric, your ranting co-host here. Excited to get into another episode here, and definitely for Connor and me, this little short notice about this draft thing. So I don't know about Connor, but I'm definitely intrigued to get into this thing, and hopefully I'll get the best team.
And what's up, guys? It's Connor, the co-host with the most. And yeah, sorry, Eric, you're not going to have the best team. I'm going to have the best team because, I'm just a genius like that. But yeah, I'm
okay.
you know how it is. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this. And I know this isn't, basketball related, but my hockey teams, Zach and I's hockey teams are still in the playoffs and Eric's isn't. So,
Look, I could have taken the Colorado Avalanche, okay, and I didn't. So that's loyalty to my state that I live in right there. I didn't expect to have a rant this episode, but Connor calling me out like that, I had to throw one in there.
I mean, Hurricanes have been trash for so long, got to enjoy it while it lasts.
Zach's like, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and enjoy this.
All right. So, yes, we are going to be doing a draft, and we've never done a draft like this before. So this is going to be fun. The first time we've done something like this. I'll go ahead and explain the rules and what the draft is about before we start. So we are drafting a starting five lineup of players on the NBA teams still in the playoffs. So the Mavericks, Warriors, Heat, and Celtics, those four teams, those are the eligible players to be drafted. Assuming everybody's healthy and everything right now. So
no injuries
or anything. We're just assuming full health. But the catch to this is we're not just drafting only the starters here. You're allowed to take three starters. So example is Kyle Lowry. He's the starting point guard for the Heat. He counts as a starter. Tyler Hero's a shooting guard for the Heat. He's coming off the bench. So you have to get three starters and two bench players to fill out what's going to end up being a starting five. But the two bench players have to be currently on the bench. And you must get players from at least three teams. So your starting five has to have representation from three of the four teams still in. So that limits your options. If you only have, your first four picks from two teams, that means your last pick would have to be from one of the two teams you haven't picked from. So it will be a snake draft with Eric having the first pick. I've got the second pick. Connor will have the third pick. We're going to draft two guards, two forwards, and essentially a utility, whatever. If you want a guard, forward, center, whatever best available, whatever you want to go with, will be that fifth slot. So that's how the draft will be. And we Connor, did you come up with a name for your team, or did just Eric?
I did.
Okay, we've all got team names, so I'll go ahead and let Eric introduce his team name.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so my team name is going to be the Texas Tornadoes. Susan and I spent a whole 5 minutes contemplating that, came up with that pretty quickly, and I'm pretty happy with the name. So we also happen to have a pretty crazy thunderstorm last night that might have influenced the name a little bit, but. Yeah. So am I officially on the clock here, or are we doing all of our team names first?
Yeah, we'll just go through the team names first, then we'll.
Okay. So not officially on the clock yet.
And I've got the second pick here. My team is going to be the Champa Bay Cigars.
Champa Bay.
Oh,
yeah, I think there's a few cities across the U.S. that would kind of take issue with that, given they've got more titles than Tampa.
Hey, we're talking.
Dang. I say, Zach, you got to sit on the sidelines there for a second, but that's over.
You do that.
Connor's just like Connor's firing
Pittsburgh,
shots tonight.
Pittsburgh. As much as I hate to say it, Boston too. Like,
yeah, but they're not. They're not a Bay city. So Champa Bay. And then the cigars reference. The cigars reference. If anyone's not been to Tampa, it's a big cigar producing city. Cuban cigars, and there's a lot of cigar deep city. So cigars are a big deal in Tampa.
all right. Well, I guess I'm kind of sticking with the alliterative theme. Mine doesn't really have any sort of like, local tone to it, I guess, other than it just sounds cool and it's alliterative. It's going to be the Carolina Crushers.
Ah, okay.
So we got the Crushers, the Cigars, and the Tornadoes drafting. Eric, you're officially on the clock. Who will be the first pick?
All right, with the first pick and
Michael
whatever title. Yeah, is Michael Jordan available? Is there a typo? I don't see him on the list. I was gonna pick him first. I don't see him here though. But no. So in all seriousness, now with the first pick and this, whatever the title of this draft is, I'm going to select for the Texas Tornadoes Jason Tatum from the Boston.
Ooh, that's an interesting first pick.
Yeah, it is. I will go ahead.
Oh.
Can you just explain why you took Tatum first?
I took him because I know there were there's probably like one or two other people that might go popular, but I feel like if I'm building a long-term franchise that I want to get somebody young and not only that, I like the way his game has evolved over the last couple seasons. I feel like we're starting to see him get more results than we were getting out of him in the past. I like that, he's a pretty good offensive and defensive player. I like two-way players. So that is why I selected Jason Tatum with the first overall pick.
All right.
So that puts the Champa Bay Cigars on the clock now.
All right. The Cigars are going to rush to the podium, get the player they wanted. First overall, they're going to take Luka Doncic from the Mavericks. Getting as talented a player Doncic is hard. He's one of a kind. People compare him a lot to Larry Bird. So I'm pretty happy with getting Doncic here.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If for anybody that's like, oh, I can't believe you didn't take Luka first. He was my second pick. Okay.
Well, I'm right here because I'm going to get the player that I think is the best player in this draft at number 3. And that's easily, very enthusiastically, I'm rushing up and taking Steph Curry. Like, I think he's still the most complete and best player in this draft right now. I know Luka's like, he gets those triple doubles, guys. It's a triple double machine, but Steph Curry still, he's got the experience. He's got everything you could ever want in a basketball player. And, heck, if we're talking about triple doubles, he managed to somehow grab 12 rebounds in their last game, which I don't know how Steph Curry ever does that, but, I'm feeling pretty good about Steph Curry number 1 here for me. And then with my second pick, I'm going to go ahead and take the only center in this draft that I think is worth getting, and that's going to be Bam Adebayo. I want to, if I'm going to get, I want a big man who can, yeah, I want to get a big man who can the boards and, as 2K likes to say, make rebounding sexy again. Just have a dominant big man, and I think he's really the only true dominant big man that's actually on this board. So I want to go ahead and grab him before someone else does.
All right. I'm happy, actually. I didn't think he'd survive this late, but I'm going to take Jimmy Butler from the Heat.
Yeah, that was my other Heat choice I was going to take.
I mean,
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Well, you can always take Kyle Lowry.
Oh yeah, he's available.
I was thinking about taking Butler too, but I want that. I wanted the big man. So, but yeah, Butler was definitely. I was between Butler and Adebayo there.
Yeah, Butler. I mean, he's going to give more scoring to pair with Doncic, but also grittiness on defense, being like a team leader sort of guy. Butler in these playoffs has done really, really well. So in the regular season, people didn't really notice him too much, but now playoff time, people are realizing he's really good. So I'm liking my team so far. Eric, finally back to you now.
Back to me. So with my first of 2 picks here, I'm going to get me another two-way player that I like. I'm going to take Klay Thompson from the Golden State Warriors and happily welcome him to the team. And now for my next pick, this is where it gets a little trickier. Man. Let's see. So we have to have 3 teams and 2 bench players. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Let's see. I was debating on getting the first bench player, but just because those options aren't as good. But I am going to go ahead and take another starter here and get somebody who's kind of emerged over these like last season or 2, and I'm going to take Jalen Brunson, the point guard from the Mavericks, to fill out my backcourt there.
Gotcha. So Eric has hit his 3-team requirement.
Hit the 3-team requirement and the 3 starters. So I have to take 2 bench players next.
Yeah. All right. And with my next pick, I'm gonna take the first of the bench players here. I'm going to take Jordan Poole, the shooting guard from the Warriors. I think, out of the bench options, he's the one that seems to, even though he's on the bench, he plays a significant role for them and another good 3-point shooter for this team. So I'm liking that.
All right, so I am up, and definitely still some good options left on the board here for starters. But I am going to take another starter here. And I'm going to go ahead and take Andrew Wiggins to be my forward, get him and Steph Curry together. I know that's reaching into the Warriors, and you still need to get a third team here, but I think Andrew Wiggins, I was contemplating taking Jaylen Brown too, but for the way that I think I want to set up my team, I think Andrew Wiggins is the best option left for me. So with that being said, I'm pretty much, I'm going to say I'm going to take the next bench player. I'm forced to take the next bench player. And I think the guys might not be too happy about me for this one, but I'm going to go ahead and take Grant Williams to be my power forward.
The only reason why I'm not too upset about that is just because I'm pretty sure Zach would have taken him next pick anyway. So pretty sure he would not have fallen to me regardless. So,
all right, Zach.
Am I correct on that, Zach?
Yeah,
okay, that's what
yeah. Oh man, this is tough here now. Okay, I'm gonna take Duncan Robinson from the bench to my team. I think the one thing I really noticed in the playoffs is the 3 ball is so important. You need 3-point shooters. You need everyone on your team to shoot 3s. So I'm going to add Duncan Robinson here, and he will help me do that.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm looking here. I still for sure need to get another forward. There's just not many good big guys available, especially now since I need to take players off the bench. So for my last 2 picks here, I will. Oh man, I guess okay. I'm going to take. This is definitely going to be a pretty small team, but I'm going to take Otto Porter off the bench for Golden State. I just don't like any of these other big options, so I was really hoping to get Grant Williams there, but so I will take him to fill out that slot. Let's see, and then for my final pick, I'm going to put Otto Porter at the other forward spot, and then
you're going to have him at small forward or power forward.
I'll do small forward, and then have
Tatum. I was like Tatum can be power forward, so
yeah, and then for my like utility option here for my last spot off the bench. I'm going to take Derek White from the Celtics, another guy that can shoot the three and play some defense for me. So I know, like, looking at my team overall here, Jalen Brunson's not the greatest defender, but with the rest of my team, I like their ability to, play defense, get some stops, and feel like I have a decent amount of shooting here as well. So this wasn't exactly fully how I thought this was going to go for my team, but I still like my team though. But so Zach, I will let you make your final selection here.
All right, so I get to pick a starter now since I picked my bench players earlier. So my last
DJ Tucker.
Yeah.
I don't need a corner three specialist on the team, but I'm going to take.
But can you use a guy that can give fouls, but then act like he didn't commit the foul? Do you need somebody like that on your team?
he would be great at that, but we're trying to here and play basketball. So I'm going to take Draymond Green consistently.
Speaking of fouls,
he's in the defensive player of the year conversation all the time. I think he made one of the all defensive teams. So for his defense, he's going to add something to this team, and glad I got him here as a forward.
All right. Well, pick. I'm feeling really happy about my team. I feel like when it comes to, if we ever have to put these teams together, I'm going to be out rebounding y'all by a lot. But this is kind of I need a shooting guard, and I got to take a bench player. So I'm going to take another good 3-point shooter to pair with Steph Curry, and that's going to be Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat. Hopefully I couldn't get Clay, and I was at one point actually maybe hoping to take Duncan Robinson, but Zach took him from me. So I'll go with Tyler Hero, and hopefully him and Steph Curry can be the new Splash Brothers in the absence of Klay Thompson.
All right.
This has been pretty cool. We'll each summarize up our teams here in a second, but I just want to run through some notable starters that weren't drafted. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. Really, the Celtics only had one starter taken with Jason Tatum. Nobody took Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, or Robert Williams.
Horford wasn't really worth taking.
Yeah, but still, that's interesting. And then, those were the biggest names I think that weren't taken as a starter. But Eric, go ahead and just once again summarize your team, and then we always do this pick between the other two, between myself and Connor, who you think has the best team between us.
All right, yeah. So for my team, I like I said a minute ago, it wasn't fully how I was expecting it to go, and then having to take the bench players made it more interesting as well. But what I do like about my team is I like the shooting aspect overall on my team. I think I've got guys that can hit the three, guys that can hit the mid range, guys that can create their own shot. I feel like overall, for the most part as well, that the defense on my team is pretty good. My biggest weakness on the team is definitely, without a doubt, going to be rebounding, seeing as how Jason Tatum is my tallest player. But I figured I'd rather have somebody like, Derek White or somebody like that can, still shoot and get me points versus like, some other forward that doesn't really get much playing time. So the bigs were definitely there were not very many options there, but I guess I could have taken Daniel Tice or something, but wasn't feeling that. As for between Zach and Connor, who do I think has the better team? This is definitely a tough one here, but I think Zach's strategy of waiting till the end to get the final starter and getting the bench guys a little earlier helped. I think I like the overall depth on Zach's team a little better. I think it's pretty close though. I'm not like, it's not like, it's like, oh my God, Zach's team is way better or anything like that. But I do have to get, because I think with Zach's team, I think Draymond could pair up against Bam pretty well. And then Butler could guard either Wiggins or Grant, like, and then Zach Connor seems a little bit bigger, so like maybe that third option would be tough to guard, but I also feel like Connor's team might have a harder time guarding some of these guards and smaller guys that Zach has. So I'm giving Zach a slight edge here, but honestly, if I'm being honest too, like I'll say I think Zach has the best team overall, but I'm not going to try to like brag and say I have the best team or anything here, but so so that's my thoughts here. So Zach, I'll pass it over to you here.
Yeah, thanks for the endorsement there.
I got you.
Just to recap my
just for this draft,
yeah. I've got Doncic and Poole as my guards with Duncan Robinson. So Doncic is the main ball handler on this team, but Poole and Robinson are going to be great 3-point shooters that are hopefully going to get open looks with double teams on Doncic. And then down low, I've got Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green playing good defense, feisty guys for rebounds and steals. And then Butler has the offensive versatility also. So if Doncic is missing shots, Butler can step in and be the number one scorer. So I really do like the way my team was set up between Eric and Connor. Like you said, it's close. This isn't a obvious choice, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Connor. I just think from top to bottom, I like this team a little bit more, and I like Eric's. Probably didn't help that Eric got the first and then the 5th pick, I think. So he had to wait a while to get that second player. But I'm gonna.
The pool dried up after my first pick pretty quickly.
Yeah. So Connor, show us your team again, and then make your pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the main thing here is Steph Curry. He's been one of the best point guards in the league for a long time. And then, like I said, I wanted to get Adebayo early on just because the big man talent in this draft is pretty limited. None of these teams are really known for their dominant big men. This isn't like we're having like the Bucks as one of our picks here, because they would have definitely had more options for big men. But so I wanted to get Bam early on, get some good defense and rebounding. So I know, especially with trying to guard someone like Luka would be hard for my team. But, I just wanted to get overall good players like that. And also I wanted to get Grant Williams early on. I wanted to get a decent player coming off the bench. He's really shown out in these playoffs. And I think probably the best thing that I have going for me a little bit here is the pairing of Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins. I know Zach has Butler and Robinson, but I think in terms of, two players that play together a lot that really, probably have a good connection, I think Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins are definitely the two in that scenario on these teams. So I really like my team. I know, like I said, defense would be a little bit of an issue against a player like Luka, but I think we can guard just about everyone else, and we do good in the rebounding department. But between Eric and Zach's team, I do think I am going to have to go with Zach's team as well here. I don't know. I just don't see, like, even with my team, we're both Eric and I would have a hard time guarding Luka. I think just the combo of Luka and Jimmy Butler is a really hard combo to guard. I know, like, it's like with Eric and I think we could guard one of them. Like, I think both Eric and I would have a decent time guarding Jimmy Butler, since Eric has Tatum and I have like Wiggins and Williams to go there. But I think guarding Doncic would just be too hard for either of us. So I would have to go with Zach has the best team.
Sweet, I'll take it. Yeah, but this is fun. I think it's interesting when you have to throw in the bench players, because you just look and you're like, oh man, the guards are loaded in this, but then the bench
they really are.
So it's
guys one of those things. Like would have been nice to also be able to take like Marcus Smart or Jaylen Brown, but I was like,
yeah, well,
with the bench
was
players
the whole,
being
like,
thrown
the
in.
team rule thing too, because I thought about that too, but then since I took Tatum first pick, I was like, well, I really don't want to take a second Celtic player like back to back, because I've got to pick players from these other teams too. Like, I would have taken Marcus Smart instead of Jalen Brunson, but I was like, well, I need to get a player from another team, so I was like, well, I better take Brunson then. So so it definitely affected the strategy with the rules and everything. But even though I have the last place vote here, like I still had a good time. It was pretty cool. So good concept, Zach. Good concept.
Thanks. Yeah, so we'll transition now to kind of talking about quickly here some of the impacts of the role players in the playoffs. Because we're always talking about Tatum and Doncic, and I thought about doing that. I thought about doing a this or that version where it's like Doncic or Jimmy Butler, those sort of scenarios. But then I thought about it, and we haven't really given love to. I mean, there's so many players here that some were drafted and others went undrafted just now, but some of these role players or starters that normally are forgotten and have been making big impacts. So on all four teams, but especially there's some teams that have had this more than others. So I'll ask Eric just real quickly, of the four teams, which of these role players and not all-star type players have you seen that stood out, or maybe one team that has had a lot of them, or some disappointments, or some of these guys you thought would be doing better? Just a bunch there.
Yeah, well, for me, the guys that you have for the Warriors pictured here, like Otto Porter and Kevon Looney, like just lately here in these last couple games, like they have really been showing out, especially Kevon Looney. I think a big problem that the Mavericks have going forward, and why I really don't think they have any chance to win the series, is just because their big man depth is just not very good, and you can tell just when like Kevon Looney has been torching them. Like the last game, he got a career high in points against them, and he gets all kinds of rebounds, and he's showing a lot of hustle and stuff that you want from your role players, especially your bigs. I mean, that's especially when you're not a star big. Your job is to make sure you don't give up second chance rebounds and protect the rim, and he's been doing that pretty well. So I have to give him a lot of credit for sure. Like that, there's definitely a lot of others that stand out too, but just for like a quick answer, like that's just been the top thing I've been noticing so far, especially in this current series going on right now.
Well, do you think this is sustainable? That obviously he's not going to get a career high every night, but do you think this is more just a flash in the pan with 2 games, and then we're gonna?
Maybe not for like 2 games, but I think he'll sustain it for the rest of the series probably. Now, assuming the Warriors do win the series, depending on who they play between the Celtics or Heat, that's when I think it's going to cool down a little bit. I mean, he's not going to get those same numbers against like Bam Adebayo probably, or against the like rotating bigs that the Celtics have between like Grant Williams and Robert Williams and some of the guys that they have like that. He's probably not going to have as much success, but even there was like one game, I believe it was like the final game against the Grizzlies. Like he had 22 rebounds in one of those games. Like, so he's been doing pretty well. So he's definitely someone, like I was sometimes like when I would do like DraftKings lineups or something, and I would see like, I'd be like, somebody drafted Kevon Looney. Like, why did they draft him? Like, or like I would, I'd see people talking about him. Like, why are they talking about him? But he's gotten a lot better, and he's been more on my radar for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. For me, there's 2 sort of role players that stand out, and they're both in the East going against each other. Grant Williams, I think, he's critical for the Celtics because for them to win this series, he's playing big time minutes for them. I mean, way more than I think he did in the regular season. And he's got to stay not getting the foul trouble. I think that's something he's been bad at, is taking bad fouls. So he's got to limit that. He's got to play like he did in that game 7 against Milwaukee. and then just make his shots early, because it seems like he's more confident shooter if he gets going in the first quarter. But if he gets a bunch of fouls and miss 3-pointers, I think that's key for the Celtics for them not to have that. And then also, I mean, just a guy out of nowhere for the Heat, Max Strus. I don't know if that's how you say his name. I just want to say it like that, Strus.
Strus.
Strus. But I mean, dude, like nobody knew. I didn't know who this guy was before the playoffs. Like, I don't think any of us did.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know who he was either.
And then he's in their starting lineup. Like, he's ahead of. I know Robinson's had some injuries and stuff, and Hero has been inconsistent in these playoffs. But just the fact to me that an undrafted guy like this just goes, it's just next man up for the Heat, and it's just like, how do they get these guys? Gabe Vincent and him were both starters for the first 2 games while Lowry was hurt. So it's just, I think I've been loving the Heat culture the past few episodes, and it's because of guys like this that are undrafted. Other teams had them and cut them. They bounced around, and they just end up taking them and making them look like good players. Now, he's a guy where it's another situation. He's a streaky shooter, so he's not going to be a reliable like Steph Curry or anything like that. But man, if he gets it going, he saved the Heat in Game 3. So those are my standout sort of role players. I know we've kind of gone through most of the big ones here before Connor speaks, but Connor, is there anyone that's catching your eye, or someone that's disappointed you, like the Mavericks cast that's disappointed you, or what?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say the Mavericks cast has been a bit disappointing in all sense. I mean, it's like they're having to rely so much on Luka Doncic in these playoffs that, it's like, I know Reggie Bullock's been playing well, but like Maxi Kleber and Spencer Dinwiddie haven't really been doing much the first couple of games. Derek Finney-Smith, Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't been really playing that great either. It's just they really need to find some way to get better, because Luka's kind of proven, and we've proven in the past, that Luka can't do it all on his own. Luka kind of needs that reliable second guy to really stand out and shine for them. Again, mentioned in the past that we all thought originally that it was going to be Porzingis, and Jalen Brunson's been doing a decent job, but he's not quite level yet of in my opinion, of someone who's going to be a true number 2 guy at the moment. Like I said, he's been playing a lot better, and he can play in that role, but they need someone else who can also step up if Brunson's having an off night, because if he's having an off night, and everyone else is having an off night, then Luka just carrying the team on his own. So definitely disappointed from the Mavericks. And if I want to mention the other guy on this screen that hasn't been mentioned at all, PJ Tucker, I mean, he's just kind of big for his defense. He did a really good job in the playoffs last year with the Bucks, being able to guard Kevin Durant in that series against the Nets. That was really a big change that they made, with putting Tucker on Durant. And, while Durant obviously still got his points and still did well, it seemed like putting Tucker on him contained him more, and Durant was more uncomfortable. So that's really what they need from him. I mean, obviously he'll provide the corner threes whenever you need them, and, he'll complain about fouls, but people they seem to forget about how good of a defender he is. So they definitely need him to guard guys like Jason Tatum and guard guys like Al Horford to avoid them, getting comfortable and doing what they do. I know Tatum had a really bad game last game, one of the reasons why the Heat were able to pull it off in Boston. So they're definitely going to need that from PJ Tucker going forward. But, the most important role player in all of these playoffs that is going to win it for the team that he plays for is former NBA champion and Miami Heat legend Udonis Haslem, best role player ever.
Yeah. the Heat are just waiting till they're like, hey, if we get to the finals, that's when Haslem comes out. He's the secret weapon.
I can't believe that guy's still in the NBA.
What was that? He's the 15th man. He's basically a coach.
Yeah, he's pretty much a player coach. But last year, I want to say he played literally 2 minutes, and then he averaged 4 points there because he got 4 points in 2 minutes, but also like one
Being
ejection.
ejected.
Yeah,
He like fought somebody.
he just came in and fought somebody, I think. So it's like, yeah, you see him on the sidelines and stuff. He's like the grandfather of the team, like just kind of taking up a roster spot for no threat of being in the game. But yeah, we don't know when he'll retire, but I wouldn't.
Hey, as long as the Heat are willing to pay him, I'm sure he'll stick around.
Yeah. The Tom Brady of the NBA in longevity terms. Yeah, so that will wrap up our NBA coverage here, the playoffs, and then we'll just close out the episode by giving a little recap of last Tuesday night. It was a good night for Eric and I.
Yeah, it was.
Did you watch the lottery live, or did you just find out?
I did not. No, I found out probably an hour or two after it happened. I saw some notifications.
Okay. Yeah, so it was kind of perfect for me. I just got back to my room and turned on the TV, and they like literally were holding up the card for the Kings at pick 4. I was like, oh wow, this is like happening right now. So I skipped all the commercials and the first part of the lottery. So I saw the Magic and Thunder were still in it, and I saw the Kings at 4, and then I think it was the Rockets at 3. And then I was like, oh my God, the first two are going to be Magic and Thunder. And I knew the Magic had a little bit better odds than the Thunder. And then, yeah, the Thunder got second. The Magic got the first pick. So I feel like it's a long time coming for the Magic. I mean, they had a few years where they made the playoffs as like an 8 seed or 7 seed and lost in the first round. But there's been so many years where they've finished at the bottom of the league, and they've always had that, number 5 pick or 6 pick, like the draft with Trae Young and Doncic. They had the pick right after those guys got drafted, and they took Mo Bamba. So it's like they've always had these drafts where where they miss out on the top 2 or 3 guys, and then they end up with Aaron Gordon or Mo Bamba. But I really like, obviously I'm glad they got the first pick, but the future for this team I think is pretty bright. With Suggs and Wagner playing really good, especially Wagner was really, really good for them last year. I think Suggs will develop. I'm still a believer in him. Cole Anthony, they got a few drafts ago from North Carolina. They've got a young team, and they've still got some of these other young players too. So I really like, I think they'll use this first pick. And then really, I think they should be a lot better next year. And then hopefully in like 2 or 3 years, they'll be, if these players all pan out for them, they'll have a really good team. But Eric, talk about your Thunder situation right now, and then how this asset could be used for them.
Yeah, it's exciting to be a Thunder fan right now. I was pretty surprised that we got the number 2 pick. I felt your pain last year with the lottery. Like, we had a chance to get 2 top 5 picks depending on where Houston might have ended up. We could have got like 4th and 5th or something like that, but Houston ended up getting to keep their pick, and then our pick fell to like 6th, and so we only got that 1 pick. So that was a little frustrating last year, but seeing as how we got to move up and get number 2 this year, like, I'm pretty excited about that. Like, there's at least 3 guys at the top of the board that I would be happy with the Thunder getting. I'd have to like really research them to truly see who I would want them to get. But I mean, between Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paolo Banchero, like, I'd be fine with any of those guys getting on the team, and they're all like bigger guys too, which is nice because that's really what the Thunder need. I mean, we have Shea and Giddey right now in the backcourt. They're not the greatest fit though, so I won't be surprised if they break that up eventually. But at the same time, they're both pretty solid players, and a true big is what we really need. And then we also have the number 12 pick as well that we got from that big trade with Paul George to the Clippers a little while back. and they also have the 30th and 34th pick. So I'm hoping what they do is they take those 3 picks and maybe move up a few more slots to get more of a upper tier player. I don't know if they plan on trying to do that or if they feel like there's an option there, but regardless, the Thunder should be able to make some solid moves here. And I hope they don't do something stupid, like trade down that number 2 pick. Like, please don't be stupid, Sam Presti. Like, I know he loves collecting draft picks. So, like, please don't do that. Like, you have like 50 picks over the next 7 years. So this is the time to, start using them to make some moves. Yeah. What were you going to say, Connor?
Well, we'll give him a few more draft picks if he takes Gordon Hayward off of our hands. So,
hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
He'll be happy with more draft picks.
Yeah, we'll take that number 13 pick and a couple more.
Oh no! See, I wasn't going to offer that. I was going to give you like a future first or something.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll consider that. But I guess like real quick here. So Zach, like, I know me and you both haven't had a ton of time to like research yet. But if you're the Magic's general manager, you're on the clock right now. First overall pick, who would you take? I need to know who I'm going to be able to get. So
I think I'm going to do a lot more research on this because it's not a clear choice, but I think I'm leaning Chet early on. Really not even so much for what he did in college, just more what he's done before college, like how hyped up he was. I know he's pretty thin, but for as tall as he is, people say he can potentially be like a Kevin Durant where he can shoot, be a great shooter anywhere on the court. I don't know too much about Boncharo, but I've heard good things about him. And then Smith, I think, is pretty good, but I don't remember him being, oh my God, number 1 pick in the draft. So I'll have to go back and rewatch some of his games. But I'm leaning Chet for now. What about you, though?
All right, yeah, Chet would be my first choice, but I will not be surprised at all if the Magic take him. And I am in the same boat with you that I need to do more research. But if it's just going right now, like just from what I'm hearing about Jabari Smith, I would take him with the 2nd overall pick if Chet goes first. So, and I'm not going to complain about that.
All right, guys. Well, that will wrap up this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed listening and watching to all of our talk. And until next time, remember, be clutch.
Bye.
Peace.